Peace and blessings, everyone. This is the Future is Black podcast. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Naseed Gifted, and this is
Dilettante J. Bass.
And this is the Future is Black podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. We are ecstatic. We are ready. And today we have a really, really exciting episode. Today we're going to talk about wealth visions, AfroFuturism driving generational prosperity with Lajuan Abram. Join us on a dynamic discussion on how AfroFuturism principles can pave the way for building generational wealth with special guest Lajuan Abram sharing his insights and strategies. So I wanted to start off the episode, and we talk about legacy building, we talk about generational wealth, and we want to get into the number of things that everyone is always talking about. When we talk about Afrofuturism and owning the narrative and owning community, what does it look like in the future? We always need to be thinking about generational wealth and financial literacy. So we have a guest who's going to be speaking to that. We're going to introduce him in a minute, but I wanted to kind of talk, generally about the importance of generational wealth for the Black community.
Man, it's real important. We all know that, but first we need to come to a consensus of what generational wealth is. Because a lot of times when we speak of it, we just think money. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's more than just money. It's land, it's property, it's some tangible and non-tangible goods. So, and also sometimes it's intellectual wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we need to pass down generational information and knowledge so we can hold on to our wealth and also gain wealth. So that's how I look at it. It's like a synopsis. It's a group of things that you can pick from, to help build your generational wealth.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about the disparity in the wealth gap, right? So when we talk about from the Black community compared to the white community, there has been policies that's been put in place that has been very intentional, and I'm going to say to disparage a certain group of individuals, especially the Black community, where the government has actually gotten, play from redlining to the Homestead Act, all the way through to Jim Crow laws and all of this other stuff that, added to these, contributing factors of why there is such a large wealth gap. But the one thing about technology today and understanding, how do you build generational wealth, and not leaving your family in debt, and some of those things. And this topic really, kind of really hit hard for me, when you think about your own mortality, right? Lost a family member just the other week. And I was thinking, like, she didn't even have the opportunity to retire, right? So she generated, X number of dollars, over her lifetime, and she didn't even get an opportunity to, spend it or enjoy it, and she worked her whole life, right? And now her family is going to probably, battle over, those, what would we say, the assets that that were left behind and everything, because most times, especially in the Black community, we don't have wills, we don't have trusts, we don't have any of these things in place in order to set up for the next generation. And then they may buy a house, they may buy a car and do all of these things, and then next thing that money is spent up, and you really have nothing to show for, for that next generation or anybody, because the stuff that we're going to be talking about today is how we set up not only our children, but our grandchildren and our children's children, our great grands, and moving forward, So these are just some principles that we're going to be talking about, where we have an expert, a resident expert who actually happens to be one of our peoples. And we wanted to kind of just get into that. So this is going to be a really, really exciting episode. And we wanted to just thank you all for tuning in. And you're tuned into the Futures Black podcast each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we're going to talk about wealth visions, Afrofuturism driving generational prosperity, and without further ado, we do have our guest in the audience, but we want to make sure we give him a Wakandan welcome. I got to cue the music. Where the music at, right? Okay. Oh, here we go. Gotta get a Wakandan. Yeah, we gotta do them proper. We gotta make sure we do them proper. Here we go. So without further ado, we'd like to bring in our guest, Lajuan Abram, who's been doing a phenomenal job. I want to give you just a little background on the brother before we even bring him to the stage. Lajuan Abram is an AV of AV Financial Trust, is a highly skilled transactional drafter in the private equity and wealth management estates and trust industries, renowned for his skill in crafting flawless agreements out of complicated legal issues such as operational due diligence in private equity and probate abuses in estates and trusts. Lajuan is a skilled professional who has an extraordinary attention to detail and a knack for the subtle art of contractual nuances. He is an ideal expert in converting legalese and family governance goals into understandable, succulent, and legal binding contracts because of his solid experience and unwavering dedication to enabling smooth transactions. Lajuan is an expert in a broad range of legal transactions such as general and family partnerships, operating agreements, private placement memorandums, mergers, acquisitions, trusts, and standard business contracts. He's painstakingly makes sure that every I is checked and every T is dotted in his role as a deal architect. I like that word, deal architect, providing the perfect alignment for his customers. So without further ado, we want to welcome the good brother, Lajuan Abram. Give it up for him.
Thank you, my brother. That was definitely a very, very awesome introduction. I love you guys, man. Ever since I met you guys, man, things have definitely went up for me. They say you can judge a friendship by, if you went up or down. Same thing with relationships too, right? You count 5 years and you can see, did this person actually add to my life or subtract from my life or make me even worse than I was before? But definitely my life has definitely changed since I met you guys, man. Seeing you around, is not enough. Being introduced to you guys and knowing exactly what you're about, man. I love that you brought me here, and I'm excited to do this episode.
Oh man, we're excited to have you, man, because because one of the things when we talk about Afrofuturism and we talk about the future sense of community, there is no community if we're not thinking about wealth building, right? We're not thinking about legacy. So that is Afrofuturism at its finest. So I know we were discussing this earlier and everything. He was like, I was like, nah, man. It's the narrative. It's the narrative of us telling our own narrative where they erased us out of the future. And that's where Afrofuturism come in. And then how we leverage technology and all of these other things to be able to do this. So with that, I wanted to kind of, just have people know, a little bit about you, your background. I know I gave that introduction, but how did you actually get into this space? And then we'll go into some questions and answers and everything. All right.
I'll try to make it short as possible, but it was very complicated how I got into this. First, I was living in East Orange, right? Started a family in East Orange, and my my wife, you know, the cars was in her name, right? So we living in East Orange, and we bought a house that didn't have a garage or a driveway or anything. You know, I just wasn't thinking when I bought the house. I just was excited about buying the first
Well,
house.
we know about the mini tickets from East Orange. So you'll be very familiar with that.
Yes, man. But this started me on something, man. You know, so you know, we always talk about men have to protect and provide, right? But this was my dilemma, bro. Well, I got so many tickets, man, in my wife's name, and she was with child, so she was not showing up to court. So I had to learn how to, you know, fight these tickets and so that I couldn't pay for, man. But before I can get to even pay them or fight them, they had locked my wife up one day. Oh my goodness, man. When they locked her up, I went off. I went over to the police station. I told them that they were holding my wife ransom. So you're gonna let my wife go and so forth. And you know, after a couple of hours, they ended up letting her go. But I had to learn how to be a pro se litigant because couldn't afford an attorney. I had to learn the law, you know. So I went right into it, man, and I just started learning and learning and learning. I fought a lot of cases. I joined a lot of groups. You know, I come from a school of thought in Harlem, got some guys in Wisconsin. I learned from so many people, man. Went to the law library all the time, and I just started developing this whole persona of just being like a trailblazer or a warrior, you know, and not even caring that, oh, I'm not an attorney, I don't care, man. And I put prosecutors, you know, in check. But that led me to a more broader area, you know, in helping people with financial literacy, because my background was in real estate. Now I'm learning law and so forth. And now it just like propelled me to answer a lot more questions. I started building with this guy out in Brooklyn, and we did seminars. We did financial literacy seminars, and he introduced me to a lot of people in the conscious community over there in Harlem and so forth. A very charismatic leader and so forth. And I just started meeting more people and helping more people. So with the knowledge I have, I was giving it to so many people, man. And then it became a little bit too complex. We had an affinity group, so it was really centered around Afro, futuristic, and just that whole element. And I was looking for a partnership with Wells Fargo, so they was not really feeling, the wearing the fez and the regalia and so forth. They wasn't feeling that. I didn't say to come out and say that, but I got turned down just seeking an ISO partnership with a lot of banks, in order to further the vision of bringing financial education and products to our communities. All right. So I ended up building my own company, and I went back to school for investment banking, private equity. I went to Columbia for construction project management. I went to Wharton. I did classes at Wharton through the American Bankers Association, and they offered classes to the membership. It's the biggest trade organization for banks. And when I went to Wharton, I learned a lot, of course, about wealth management, estates, and trusts. All right, this was all online, but I got the knowledge anyway. And I started taking a lot of transactional drafting classes, because I wanted to learn how to do the trust and so forth, because it was something that I heard about and knew the significance, but I didn't, and I just wanted to learn more. All right. So from a drafting perspective, I started learning the nuances and how, a trust is made. A trust has about 5 basic components, which is a introductory provision, administrative provision, It has a trustee provision, a miscellaneous provision, and a dispositive provision. Most of us know about dispositive because that's the distribution of your assets, your granting language, and how you're going to receive that gift from people who love you and want to leave you the property and so forth. But learning these things, I started to progress, and I wanted to get into more things that could help our community. Like you talked about the wealth gap, and talking about the wealth gap, you can't miss what we are missing. Of course, we're missing a lot of things, but bank support is one thing throughout the ages that we didn't get as Black small businesses. Small to medium-sized enterprises owned by Black people didn't get bank support. Okay. And when our banks came, our banks would be in the crossfire, so to say, because whenever you have a Black bank, like we had one in Newark, was it Charles Wiggum, I believe, that started that bank over there, City National Bank, right? When you have a Black bank, and that bank was for a long time, a very long time, about as long as Carver Savings in New York as well. But the thing is that with Black banks, the reason why they fail is because a bank buys and sells securities. Those securities are in the form of loans. Okay, so they originate loans, and that's how they make the bulk of their money. If a Black bank makes a loan for Black mortgages, and that's what's on their balance sheet, they are already losing because of the depreciation factor that takes place, and those you talked about redlining earlier. You talked about those hidden blows that take us out. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's happening. But this is why our banks fail. It's because the balance sheet has a lot of Black loans, Black mortgages, and so forth. And that right there is toxic for Black banks. But they have good intentions. It's just that if they have too much on their balance sheet, then that's what's going to cause them to fail because of our economics and so forth. And, of course, our income not being outpaced by inflation over 30 years now. And now it's tripled in the last 3 years. But these are the reasons. These are just small things that happen that have very, very big impact in the banking industry. And we don't have bank support. How are we going to get our money? So I went into private equity because I feel like, hey, man, we can do a capital raise amongst ourselves. You understand? Many groups do this. High net worth earners, they get together, or not even high net worth earners. People can get together and crowdfund amongst themselves. So I learned how to actually put those instruments together, learn how to interface with the Securities and Exchange Commission for bigger funds, 5 million or more. And I went into that industry as well. So wealth management with estates and planning, because we're always dealing with our own mortality, and private equity, so that we can actually be able to do capital raises for our small to medium-sized businesses and make them bigger enterprises.
Okay. That's phenomenal. So a lot of this information that you gained is definitely, I'm assuming, is self-taught, and then you went into various rooms, right? So you got access to various rooms in order to get this information and everything. And most of the time, these are tables that you just can't pull up on. You had to, kind of like force your way into in order to be able to be a part of that.
Actually, in order for me to be a part of the American Bankers Association, the CEO of the largest Black bank in the United States had to vouch for me. He had to sign for me. His name is Kevin Cohey. He's the CEO of One United Bank, the largest Black bank in the United States. He had to vouch for me in order for me to even get into the American Bankers Association. So yes, I am definitely a very blessed, and if you want to say lucky, person to be able to be around those type of people and learn.
Yeah, that's definitely so. So let me just ask you. So what challenges do you foresee in, implementing an Afrofuturism driven wealth initiatives, and then how do we begin to overcome that?
Well, it's like Dilettante said, what is wealth building, or how are we going to define not wealth building? We were talking about financial literacy. We got to define it. We have to make sure that the education that is coming down the pike is something that we can readily use, has use value, high utility. Okay, if we can't use it, and that's a dilemma all in and of itself, because many Black people, right? You never know what kind of hole they have to dig out of. Some are deeper than others, but they still want to make things happen. It's just that when the information comes to us, we may not be able to touch it yet. We may not be able to. I thought Dilettante was signaling me. Yes. So I'm always looking at it in that way. How are we going to get the right information? And I'm not dogging anybody. I'm just saying that everybody deserves a duty of care. All right. When it comes to their personal business, their aspirations, where they want to go, you have to really spend time with each individual in our community, because you can't have a blanket plan for us. It doesn't work that way. We would like it to, but I've been a part of many groups, many investment groups, and it's like you get to the money and everybody fall off. So I'm like, all right. We don't have to everybody come with 5,000, everybody come with 10,000, and because there's still people with great minds. And you need that diversity. You need that mind to get ahead. Okay. You really do. Everybody have something to add. They have value. You got to be able to tap into it and build together, even if the person doesn't have the money. I know this is not popular. It's not popular, but there are ways. And that's why I went to school. I went to school and learned about private equity just so I can answer these questions. Okay. We need money. Let's find it. So let's go get it. Go ahead.
So for the individual, we just want to make sure we educate our audience on it. For the individual who are, working their 9 to 5 and everything, what are some practical things that they can start, because one of the main things that, people are disillusioned about is, like their credit score. And then that becomes the focus, right? They don't focus on debt. They don't focus on anything else, but they try to get, this credit score or whatever, like what are some strategies or some things for, someone who's working a 9 to 5? I mean, I know I have something, but I want to definitely open the floor for you to be able to kind of chime in for that individual who is looking to build wealth, for their family and leave a legacy. And they're, I got to give a practical example. They're 35. They're halfway through paying their college loans and everything. And now, they're looking to, kind of build wealth.
Okay. All right. That's not bad. This is not popular, or what I'm about to say. Okay. Credit is a good thing, and credit opens doors. What happens is people get too inundated with the credit score. So when you retain a score of 750, what most people do is they continue to try to either get higher or maintain the 750. They never actually go out there and execute on any plans. They just get more credit or continue to have good credit. Now, the credit is not the asset. Okay, the asset has to be what you have in your mind. You have to manifest something. You have to actually go into business, because wealth is 3 things. Okay, The building blocks. The building blocks of wealth is wealth building, wealth preservation, and wealth stewardship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in your wealth building phase, you can use your credit. Okay. Not to just go into some harebrained scheme or something that's new or whatever. You have to go into something scalable, already been scaled, or magnitude. Okay. Like MJ DeMarco said in what's that book? The Millionaire Fast Lane. MJ DeMarco said, scale or magnitude, right? Magnitude is real estate. Okay. So the thing is this: if you start a business from the ground up, yes, it's going to take time for you to actually make profit. But if you buy a business, use your credit to get the 10% that it takes to actually buy a business, then you can go into an already established operation and you add value to it. I do this all the time. Okay. You buy any business and you have to add value. That's it. Okay. Your 10%, you don't even have to have that. You can, at most sellers will go into a what they call I was going to say letter of credit, but it's not letter of credit. It is I'll come back to it. Okay. But the credit can be used to get the 10% income injection that the bank will want in order to buy the business. Okay. And you can get an agreement between you and the seller to finance the 10% in order to make the transaction work for the bank, and they'll do it. Okay. Now you just bought a business with no money down. Okay. That's how most people buy businesses. Okay. They go to the SBA or a bank that's going to give them a loan for leveraged buyout of any business. It could be down the street, it could be the ice cream shop next door. It could be anybody that's selling their business. They're going to have a valuation. You're going to be able to look over their books. You're going to determine whether it's worth it, what you want to offer. And then the bank is going to say 10%. Then you go in there and you can actually buy that business and you can do seller financing for the 10%. All right. Building wealth, right? You have to have a scalable event. It just doesn't work without it. You have to scale something. All right, this is what I mean by that. I have a barber, and I told him, I said, yo, bro, you in your supply line is the things that's in front of me, right? You have your scissors, you have your comb, your brush, you have all of these things. We all been to the barbershop, you see what's up there. I say, your name is not on any of these things, but at least 17 companies produce everything that's on your shelf. That means there's enough market share for you. Put your name on a brush, put your name on a comb, you need to step out of the pool of people and go into the river of people, go into the ocean of people. That's the only way you're going to scale as a barber. You have to look into your supply line and you have to produce something or actually add that part to your business. You don't have to continuously buy from other companies. You can produce something on your own. So that's what I mean about scale, buying a business that's already scaling a product or a service. And there are many businesses out there that you can just buy. We know startups take money. So building wealth through a startup, it takes money and it takes time. And that's one thing that our people don't always have. We don't always have time. We don't always have the money to match that time. We need the money we're making right now. Let alone be able to put 1,000 to the side, every week or every month in order to build a dream when we have so many, neural campaigns targeting us through our social media and everything, selling us everything on Timo, Alibaba, Amazon, everywhere. It's advertising. And I mean, it's just straight warfare. So when it comes to somebody saying that you know, the black community is lazy, or they don't do this and they don't do that. I take offense to that.
Mm-hmm.
I made a comment to Wallow today, man. He said something. I was like, no, bro, you wrong about that, because all black people are not lazy. All black people are not uh don't want to hustle. You understand? No, we all hustle. We all want to hustle. We all know how to make money. We don't always know how to keep money. But I'm gonna tell you right now, there's over 70 million people dealing with right now post-conviction poverty. You know they'll throw a charge on us when we're in our youth so early. It'll knock our socks off, man. We can't get nothing. We can't go nowhere. We can't get an apartment. We can't make ends meet. It's not an excuse. I don't use that as a coping mechanism for failure. But what I do is I understand it. I just look for where I can help. Can I help this person? Can I add to this person? If not, I'm gonna leave them alone. I definitely ain't gonna talk about them.
Okay. No, that's powerful. I mean, you know, when we talk about our community and how there are so many barriers that, you know, that we have to deal with, you know, from the family, the generational wealth aspect and everything, you know, we need to make sure that, you know, we're connecting to a number of these things. I mean, the opportunities that are lost because you have a charge is something that, you know, you kind of preached on and touched on. How do we navigate that? Because, you know, like so many people, you know, so many of our audience members, you know, our family members and everything, you know, have to deal with these realities and everything, and they're looking to build wealth, but there are some barriers that's, you know, avoiding or preventing them from kind of doing that. I mean, I know I have my own personal strategies, but, you know, like what would be some of the things that you would recommend, you know, to help people try to get themselves out the hole?
Right. I can only tell you what I've done, man. You know, I had very early in my life, I had a child support lien. Okay. And it followed me everywhere. Okay. If I didn't learn many things, then I would be a victim, a harsh victim of it. All right. So, I mean, everybody's situation is not the same. It's just that I don't hold any money I have nothing in my name. I have everything in a trust. All right. I have over 6 different trusts. Of course, I write them myself. So, of course, this is not practical knowledge. Okay. But if you have one, you can actually wheel and deal. But the thing is this: the bank operates off of 10 UCC codes. Okay. And none of them protect individuals. So, to interface with the bank, it should only be a B2B relationship. Okay. That's what they understand. Okay. Because if you have a default judgment, then and you have an account in your name, then they can go right into that account and take the money. Okay. But if you have it in a trust and the trust owns the account, now they have to abide by the rules of the trust. Okay.
So
the bank's attorneys have to fight. They'll fight for you, and they will not allow anybody to actually go into those accounts at all.
So I just want to pause you for 1 second, because I don't want our audience to get lost, you know, on, you know, some of the terminology that you're using, because we always want to educate, right? So first of all, what is a trust? You know, for those who don't know, and then how do you even start a trust? And then I want you to go back into, you know, what you were speaking about.
Okay. Well, a trust is a contractual agreement for the benefit of another. Okay. What people usually do to set up trust, the main reason is to avoid what's called probate court or surrogate court. Okay. And what they do is they handle issues of title. Okay. So when you die and you have property or you have assets and so forth, and you know, you didn't leave it to your loved ones in a trust, probate is going to come in and penalize you for not having it. They're going to draft one for you. They're going to pressure you to hire an attorney in order to actually fight this case or help to mediate this case for your family if you don't have this instrument. This one instrument is the most powerful legal apparatus you can have when it comes to asset protection and transferring wealth. Okay, because that's economics, is consumption, production, and the transfer of wealth. It's a part of our economic makeup. We need to transfer wealth. Okay, so this is the vehicle, the very vehicle to transfer wealth. And most of us are first generation wealth builders. So we need to actually move correctly. As my man Ross, what's his name? I'm sorry. What's the rapper name?
Rick Ross?
Rick Ross. As he said, I just want to move correctly. And this is how you do it with this instrument. So the trust being the most powerful legal apparatus, most people say, I got to be rich to have that. Or I should have money, you know, if I don't have money and assets. No, I just told you an instance where you can use it and you can ward off creditors. You know, I'll pay your creditors, but I'm just telling you what most people won't tell you. Okay, that there is a way, there are secrets, there are things that family attorneys tell wealthy families that we don't get to hear. We don't have them. We don't have a family attorney just visiting the house twice a week, giving us nuances on our business, how to scale, how to, you know, what's operational due diligence? How do we actually raise money? Do you know anybody that have at least 2 million that could loan it to me through a debt fund? What, you know, you think that's big money? That's not a lot of money. You understand what I mean? But in our community, it's a lot of money. It's like, yo, man, I can get my hand on 1 million. I can get my hand on 100,000. I'll be good. You know, but that's just where we are. That's why, you know, when we go to get a business loan, we don't ask for no more than 150,000. When we actually need 400,000 or 500,000 for that startup to really give it the duty of care that it needs. But the trust is the top holder. It is the very pinnacle hierarchy of your structure as far as wealth building, preservation, and stewardship goes. This instrument will direct the whole show. Okay.
So I mean, I understand. I understand that the whole purpose of the trust. And you said you actually have 6 trusts, right? So
yes.
What was the purpose of you establishing 6 different trusts? You know,
yes.
What was the strategy behind that?
Right. Special purpose vehicles. I favor, even though I write operating agreements for LLCs and they're really good. I can actually, you know, I can make the LLC operating agreement do almost the same thing the trust can do. But that's me. Okay. But my preference for a special purpose vehicle is the trust. So every other business, or if I have a special deal that I'm going into, I'll draft a trust for that deal. I'll draft the trust just to represent me or my interests, or me and someone else, or the partnership agreement that I'm going into with my friends, or so on. My sons, every one of my sons have their own trust. My wife has her own trust. I have a family trust. I have a couple of business trusts. So it's always a different business, a different asset, a different goal. Okay. So I draft a trust instead of getting the LLC because that's a pierceable document.
Gotcha.
There's no real protection there.
So your equivalent of doing a trust is equivalent to other people establishing LLCs. For instance, you know, anyone who's doing real estate and purchasing property, usually they will develop a LLC for that particular property or that particular project. But in your case, you're like, I'm not even going to do an LLC. I'm going to establish a trust, you know, with regards to that, which is going to be the contract.
Yes, actually, a lot of savvy investors really, they don't put the property in a LLC. It just reads LLC. It's a trust. Okay. What they do is it's like say for instance, 65 Halsey Street Trust. LLC. It's actually a trust. It just says LLC. That's what they do. They put the property. It looks like they're putting. And I'm telling you, this is the strategy for all of these newbies in real estate. They put it in the LLC, but that's not what they actually. I guess I don't know how to say this, but it's not what the person really did that when you saw LLC. It's like if you look on the records or whatever, like the Hall of Records, and it says this property is owned by 65 Halsey Street LLC. It's really 65 Halsey Street LLC Trust. And that's most of them. If they're savvy investors, I'm just being honest with you, that's what usually happens. It's not in an actual LLC because I used to just scratch my head when I see people doing this. Like, why would you put a house in such a weak document? Just think about it. You're going to pay $200 or less than $200 for an instrument to put a $500,000 house in. You think, I don't know if y'all ever had a tango with a lawyer or two that was real deal, but I have. Okay. When they want your property, okay. Like I had a case over here in New York when they were building that stadium, the Brooklyn Stadium, and the lady had a brownstone where they wanted to build. Those lawyers, her house was paid for. Her son called me. You hear me? And they tried everything to take that property. She had it in her name. So I had moved the property over to a trust and so forth and put some asset protection covenants in it for her and left it to her son and so forth. But you cannot take a $500,000 house and put it in a $200 legal Zoom operating agreement. Are you kidding me, bro? They don't even put. I'm gonna give you one. See, there's a provision that they don't put in their operating agreements. It's called a charging order protection provision, and that will give you a degree of latitude within that operating agreement. I'm willing to be tried by anybody watching this, bro. This is the truth. They put absolutely nothing in. It's a shell. It's a boilerplate, and it's the weakest boilerplate I've ever seen in my life. Every time someone says they have an LLC, I say send it to me, and I make an amendment to that document for them. So you can't be walking around with this. This is no good. But that's why I use the trust, of course, because it's personal. It's about my objectives and my goals and so forth. And it's more, I get more freedom there and flexibility when it comes to my assets and my dealings when it comes to any type of structure or deal that I'm going into.
So and, I'm actually curious about this now because myself and Dilettante are looking to establish a number of trusts, but I'm thinking about, like when you think about people 401k, their 403b, their pension, how do you add? I know that's as well as any other asset can be added into a trust. How do you legally, or even from a non? I'm also thinking, how do you transfer any of that into your trust? That's first. And then my second question is, how do you become a contractor within your own 9-to-5 to be able to establish that as into your trust or whatever as well?
All right, I'll get
audience have questions.
Yeah, if you have it, definitely. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This is the Phocused Black podcast. If you have any questions from the audience for our special guest who's been dropping nothing but jewels and knowledge, we talk about generational wealth and legacy building, please put that in the chat and we'll definitely, and please let us know where you're tuning in from. Put that in the chat and we'll definitely make sure we have that on the area where we have them here.
Yes. Okay, I got you. 401k, right? Let's start there. 401k from the employee's perspective, okay, it's of course retirement. All right, and if you contribute enough to it, I think that it's advantageous for you to actually roll it over to an IRA and develop your own qualified plan with it. Okay, so if you have a 401k right now and you have a business, roll it over to an IRA and put that money into your own qualified plan for your business. I'm telling you this because your business can make a $69,000 contribution to the qualified plan. Okay, that's higher than the Roth IRAs and the IRAs and everything everybody else selling out here. And the reason why you want to do that is to minimize your income. Okay, if the way you minimize your income is by making contributions to your 401ks and your 401(k)s, but you should make the contribution to your own qualified plan because it's cash and tax deferred. It's also a compensation arrangement. So the IRS will pay you for 3 consecutive years just for having a qualified plan of your own 401k. It's called a solo 401k. Okay. You get that for your business. And you make contributions. Both of you roll over. If you have 401k at other companies, I'll show you how to look them all up and make the phone call to see if they actually have a private pension or a private 401k that you know nothing about. You can roll that over into your own qualified plan. The IRS will give you actually $500 a year for the 3 consecutive years for having a qualified plan. All right. Now, and they also have a long list of investments. So if you have more employees, as you guys grow and expand your business, all right, your employees contribute to your 401k, which is a qualified plan. Now you can use their money to actually invest. Okay. And that's where your big companies like BlackRock come in and Vanguard and Fidelity. You can put your money with these companies and they'll invest it, or you can put it with another private equity fund, a real estate syndication. You can put that money to work. All right. And now when you make those contributions, now you ain't paying no tax. Okay. But when it comes to the trust, right, putting the 401k and everything in the trust, you can make the trust the beneficiary of your retirement accounts. Okay. And it only takes one phone call. Okay. The strategy I just told you was separate from that. That's building your own qualified plan, your own 401k. Okay. And that right there is what most small to medium-sized enterprises need. But they just do not have it because everybody in our community comes selling us weak products. They come sell us weak insurance policies and weak retirement plans. But this right here, it probably costs you $1,500 to $2,000 to actually erect a qualified plan. But I'm telling you right now, you could put all your kids, your wife, your girl, everybody can contribute to it. Well, really, let's say, let me back that up. Let me just be safe. Spouse and yourself, if the spouse is outside of the business. All right. But everybody in the business can contribute to it because that's exactly what the companies do for you. When you go to work for them, they say you want 401k. They have a qualified plan, but you also have access to get one.
Now, without going too deep, whatever, some things like when we talk about generational wealth that we don't discuss in our community is information, right? Today I was with the accountant, I was at the shelter at the business, and I said, I got to interview my grandmother, and I got to ask her, how was it growing up in the South when she was younger?
Yes.
And I got to ask my grandfather that. And so the accountant, I said, where did you grow up at? She says, because she's 76. And she says, I grew up in the South and I came up when I was 12 years old, something like that. So I said, how was racism? Did we own things? And she said her family owned 800 acres of land.
Yes.
Right? And I said, what happened? She said, my grandmother owned 800 acres of land. She told me the smooth thing she did. She said her grandmother and grandfather were together, and he stayed in the South to learn how to work the land, farm, and all that. And she came up north, and she worked for white people, cleaning and all that stuff. And she would send the money back, and that's how they acquired the 800 acres of land.
Wow.
So I said, what happened to the land? And she said, when her grandmother and them died, she left the land to her uncle. And her mother is living now still. Her mother is 92 years old. So she said, you can come interview my mother and ask her, because she still got all her faculties, and ask her, like, how was life, business, and all that. She said, what happens in the community, a lot of the Black people got the land and they became greedy or selfish, or they sold the land off for pennies.
Yes.
And we're starting to see the same thing happen in a lot of cities like Newark, urban cities.
Yes.
So the reason why I mention that story is because we have to also discuss the mentality of our people for generational wealth. Like I always told you how my grandfather is.
Yes.
Has money, all this, but he's stuck in his own ways so like you got a lot of older people who rather die with their wealth or die and don't understand the concept of passing it down due to how they upbringing of how did they get it. They have that old mentality.
Yeah.
So we're struggling with that in our community. I notice a lot, like to say, hey man, you 70 years old, it's time to pass the business on. Like,
right.
Now you're gonna die. Now we got to figure this all out. Like we haven't, we have
information.
Yeah, we have to learn, how do we pass the business down?
Okay.
Like these are issues which I see is happening in our community. How do we pass grandma house, like you said, the trust?
Yes.
How do we pass this or that property down? And I think it comes to where we have to begin to have financial discussions with our children at a young age.
Yes. Stewardship. Yes.
Yeah, and we need that, because if not, we just gonna keep repeating the same cycle. Like when we get something, it all goes away, and we have to begin to teach them the value, what's valuable and what's not. Need, wants, desires, like how Tiffany Budgenisha would speak about. So my thing is to say, in your field, do you see that people lack knowledge and understanding of the historical perspective of what happened in our community and how we take that same knowledge and information to prevent it from happening again?
Right. Thank you for the question, brother. And even just the story behind it, let's answer that. It's not, first of all, it's not an easy thing to do.
Not.
Okay. And it has to be individualized because, all right, it's like growing up with like an ill basketball player that doesn't make it. The person who makes it is the one that works. He practices. He develops discipline. He knows he's not that good, but he's determined that he's going to be. Okay. In wealth, it's pretty much the grit that they talk about in school is exactly what I'm talking about. That thing that gets you up in the morning and say, our show is 8:00. This is our itinerary. We're going to interview this person. This is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about this. That thing that gets you up. I know it sounds kind of cliche-ish, but that is what gets you over the top because prima donnas don't always make it.
Mhm.
People who are talented don't always make it. You know, it's the person that just works the plan. They get the vision, they make it plain, and they execute, and they never take no for an answer. Okay, when you're in order for a lot of things that we suffer to never happen again, unfortunately, we do need changes in our political landscape. And I'm no fan of administrative rule, and the Chevron cases actually was a big lift as far as I'm concerned in our and hopefully it'll stick. Okay, but uprooting administrative rule, it caused a lot of damage over the years. It stopped us from doing a lot of things and getting ahead and so forth because we stay in court. We stay dealing with legal issues and we're young. You know, like just coming up 18 years, I don't even know anything about civil procedure. You know, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. You know, but without going too deep into that, I want to address some things like having family legacy meetings and understanding how to engage the elders in our family. Okay, and showing yourself to proving yourself to be a person that they can actually that they can allow to hold on.
Yeah, you went dark. You went dark.
Yeah,
You must have been going too deep. You was going too deep, brother.
I know, right? Give me 2 seconds.
You was going too deep. I mean, we'll take an opportunity to pause. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Phocused Black podcast each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we're talking about wealth visions, Afrofuturism
Okay.
driving generational prosperity.
I sure won't.
With regards to that. So thank you guys for tuning in. We have our guest, Lajuan, who's been dropping a number of jewels, you know, with regards to this. And I know he was about to go really, really deep. He went so deep that he caused a blackout in this area, you know. So
Yes.
we'll let him get back to it and everything. Well, as you were thinking about, finishing up that thought, you know, what's a simple plan that we could give our audience in order to start building generational wealth as well? So I just want you to kind of think about that in the back of your mind. You know, I've done a number of things, you know, like debt free, you know, how to become debt free, right? And then using that to be able to build wealth. But now, once you become debt free, now you got to be able to take that and invest it into, you know, various other areas and everything.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, those were, you know, especially if you have credit card debt, you know, making sure you pay the higher interest rate ones first, and then being able to, you know, pool that money to be able to bring down that stuff. But you know, yeah, with the snowball effect. But I mean, you just dropped the jewel on us, within building the trust and evading the creditors and everything. So I mean, thank you for that. Thank you for that. We'll talk
we need
more
those
offline about being able to build on that. But wanted to kind of just get your thoughts on, you know, some simple things. I mean, and I know Dilettante mentioned it. One of the things, and we talk about building vehicles, right? And I know this is all loaded, but I think about the Rockefeller family, not, you know, for the great things that they've done, you know, throughout history, but they are one of the clear examples of how to build generational wealth. And they built mechanisms, they put mechanisms in place so the family can't F up the money, right? You can't have a drug habit and F up the money, you know, because the way the money is set up and the way it's protected through trust, you know, they have a vehicle that replenishes and they have their own bank and everything that, you know, like you can't even mess up this money, you know, if you got a bad drug habit or whatever, you know, or any of these things. So,
yes.
So I know I said a lot, but I just
I got it.
It's your story, and then kind of get into some practical things that people could do to start building their own wealth. You know, to do, you know, this legacy building piece that we're talking about.
Yes. All right. Okay, just to finish with the oh, hold on, let me write this down.
Yeah.
Okay. Family legacy meetings and engaging the elders in the family, and just proving yourself to be worthy of taking the mantle and moving it forward. Okay. A lot of people say, now this is not popular. This is not popular at all. Well, my family don't support me. Okay. Well, step your game up then. We have to respect the people we love and give them what we would give someone else that is paying us. Okay. Meaning that if you have a product, if you're selling a product and you want to sell it to your family, respect them. Package it up just like you'll package up anybody else. Mail it to them. Don't hand it to them. Do it polished. I mean, do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Engage your family professionally. You hear me? I'm serious. But when I engage my friends, I engage them professionally. Okay. Even if they know I'm chill, because I am. All right. But when it comes to business, man, I'm locked in. I say I'm going to be here by this time, I'm going to be there. If I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Boom, boom, boom. When it comes to business, they're going to be like, well, you know what? They're going to recommend me to their families, to their close friends, and so forth. And what I mean by stepping your game up for your family and the elders, all right, come with a plan. Mm-hmm. Come with a solid plan and have that tenacity, man, that you're not going to take no for an answer. You're going to not sell the business, not sell grandma's house, because they have this saying, shirt sleeves in 3 generations.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
3 generations, yo. That wealth usually don't get past that. In our community, we'll be lucky to get it to the 2nd generation.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're smarter, man, and we're gonna get something to the next generation. Okay, I have impacted some lives. Okay, and got people to understand this is how you build. Okay, so the 5 tips or a couple of small things or easier things. There is nothing easy. Okay, but what I want to tell people, man, is think more about your plan, okay? And keep building your plan as if you had the money, okay? Don't worry about the money. Call me, okay? See, I think about it in another way. Okay. The ideas, these people that have money, they are devoid of ideas. You have ideas. You know people that need your product. You know why they need your product. Because we always looking to address a need because we're addressing our own most of the time when we develop a product or a service. We fine-tune our ideas, write it down, understand the importance of the business plan. It doesn't have to be perfect. Investment thesis doesn't have to be perfect because guess what? Those things are usually wrong after the 2nd month, but it's something that keeps you grounded, keeps you in line. All right, I'm not going to forget that this is what my original goal was. Even if it changed, things are going to change, but you still should have an investment thesis or business plan, executive summary, and so that you can go forward, with pitching, because you never know when the money is going to come. But people love good ideas, man. They will put money to that energy. They'll put money to that story. They'll put money to your shirt. Oh man, I like that shirt. How much you say you need again? But you never know why someone is going to give to you. Okay. When I tell people that, man, I won't write a private placement memorandum for you unless you're looking to raise 5 million or more. They look at me like, what? I say, yeah, that's what it takes, man. because my price point for PPM is 30,000. People think that's high because they never dealt with it before, but actually it goes for 50 and above. I'm just at 30 because of my demographic. I have to do a lot of teaching. I have to do a lot of education for people to understand that, look, all right, if I'm raising 5 million, what's 30,000? That's just for a cap raise, all right, for buying out a business or commercial property, industrial property, something grand, or a portfolio of houses. Come to me with something, your dream. Come to me with something big. You want to buy a network, okay? And you're building your own, but guess what? That's what Byron Allen did. The comedian, started buying networks. You understand what I mean? Now he's a billionaire, but the thing is that come to me with that vision. Come to me with something, just because you know what? You'll never quit that. You will never quit it because that's where your passion is. Put your plans together as if there is no problem with getting money. You will attract the money. This is not pseudoscience or anything spiritual. All right. Even though I am a spiritual person, I just want you guys to understand that money will find you. Money will find you. All right. We got to just have a different relationship with it. Okay. But what else? I did family legacy meeting. I did another thing too, with the credit, because I don't want to tell you guys credit is just the devil or anything like that. Credit is good. It opens doors. It get people to even talk to you sometimes. Sometimes they don't even want to talk to you if you don't have good credit. And it's like, they have this whole big push for people to get business credit, but people who have bad credit are getting business credit. And it's like, no, you're putting the cart before the horse, or you're not doing it right. You don't need to really build a business credit profile. A business credit, you can put a couple of policies in a trust and do a collateral assignment to the lender, and the lender will give you a line of credit based on you signing over the death benefit to the policies to him, just as collateral. You make good on the loan, he gives you that document back. And now the policies are back being yours again. But that's your major collateral because it's a paper asset. But you don't go and build a business credit profile. Why would you do that? It's not the same thing. A business is, this is what Toyota does, man. And I will give you this. My wife had a Toyota that her father bought for her. Okay. And the title, after he paid it off, the title was released by Toyota Leasing Trust. Okay. Toyota Corporation handled the operations of the company. They handled the deal, but the assets belong in the trust. The assets, which are the cars and the real estate, that was in Toyota Leasing Trust. Okay. Keep it separate. Operations, assets, okay? But if you have assets, how do you think they're getting lines of credit? Based on the operations? Yeah, a little bit. Balance sheet. But it's the assets that the bank is looking at. They're going to give you the line based on what you have or what you can leverage. Yeah, it's not about building a credit profile with these different companies, these what they call it, net 30 companies, 69 and so forth, and building and getting trade lines and everything like that. No, it's what the company has to leverage. And when you one more thing, and when you're buying a business, you don't get approved for a $10 million business based on your credit report. No, that approval comes from the business's balance sheet. What is the business making? Not what I'm making. Why do we care about what I'm making? It's not coming out of my pocket. How I'm going to get approved for a $10 million loan? And I'm not making at least 3 times the amount. Throughout the what is it? 3 times the amount annually. I'm not making $30 million annually on some job to get approved for a $10 million loan. That's the formula.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else is either. They're not getting approved that way. They're not getting approved. They're getting approved by the business they're buying. The business they're buying is getting approved. You're just saying, all right, I have the 10%. And if you don't have the 10%, you get a letter of intent with seller financing. And that's how you make the purchase with zero money down. I'm sorry, I had to clean that up from before.
Nah, that's. I mean, you just dropped a ton of jewels. My last thing is, what's your feeling on insurance? Because
Okay.
life insurance. We always talk about the Black community and how we don't have insurance, or we underinsured, or all of these things. As regards to wealth building.
Okay. All right. The best policy. The absolute best policy is something that nobody talks about. It's called a PPM life insurance policy. That's where they pool their money together in the policy and they invest the money. Okay. Now, that's in a life insurance policy. Okay. That's the top dog. Okay. And of course, you have to be an accredited investor, or you have to, meet certain requirements in order, but we can actually build one ourselves. Okay. Of course, I know how to build that, but we can build that ourselves and we can make the investments through a life insurance policy. Okay. Now, then you have next is the whole life permanent life insurance. The best. There's nothing. I mean, like, people have these, these hybrid policies. Okay. And I think it's called the IUL and so forth, but you'll end up paying more. And they have a very clever talk off or sale to sell you these policies. All I say is check with me before you get it. I will never be sold on a hybrid policy, because I can actually invest in the S&P 500 and not pay the same fees I'm going to pay in that IUL for them doing the same thing. Okay. I can put money, I can make a contribution every quarter to my brokerage account to go right into an S&P 500 index and make more money than making that contribution to an IUL that have all of these hidden fees and so forth like that. So the hybrid type clever, we're going to invest in the stock market for you and you're never going to lose your money. No, I'm very conservative. I do take risk. I cannot be who I am and not take risk, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's not the risk you want to take, because they only sell that product in our neighborhood. I don't know anybody in other neighborhoods. And if I'm I am in these places. Okay. I am in the conversation. Like I said, I'm a member of the ABA, and nobody, and I mean nobody, is talking about that IUL. So don't let them fool you and tell you that, oh, the Rockefellers had an IUL, or the Rockefellers had this insurance policy, and this is how they built. No. Okay. Please verify. Please verify these things that people, because this rhetoric is getting out of control. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to say is this: the whole life policy, it represents ownership in the very insurance company you're getting the policy from. You hear what I'm telling you? That is like stock in an insurance company. They're going to pay you dividends. When you talk to them, they're going to say, we've paid a consistent dividend for over 20 years, even through the pandemic. That's what you want to hear. So you ask them about how did they do through the pandemic? Did they still pay dividends out? And if they didn't, or it would decreased, ask them by how much. That's what question number one. Question number two for the policy, you ask them, do they have collateral assignments? Because if I can't use this policy as collateral while I am alive, what do I need it for? Yeah, okay, take care of my kids, give them a couple $100,000 a piece. And so, yeah, but I want to benefit from it now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that death benefit is $1 million, and I can't assign that to a lender as collateral for a commercial property or a business. No, I need to use that. I need to use that as collateral. I'm paying the premiums. So yes, the whole life is the best because it have all of these parts to it. Okay, you get a dividend, you get to build cash value, and it's the most attractive for collateral assignments. That's the trifecta you're looking for. And I will debate anybody on this. Anybody.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I know, there's a lot of misconceptions around the community when you talk about whole versus life. I mean, term life insurance and everything. And just based on what you were talking about, I mean, I know I have a term life policy. I also have a whole life policy or whatever, because the death benefits, are a lot higher. But of course, you pay an increasing premium each and every month or whatever the case may be. But you don't get those added benefits when you talk about dividends and cash values and everything.
Right. We got to know how to use this stuff. That's what it is. We have to know how to use it, when, how to make these things fit into our everyday lives. How do we expand the businesses that we've just erected with these instruments, with these different things, with our credit, with our insurance? All of these things have to work together. Because if it's not, we're missing something. We're missing the game.
Yeah.
Because our business is where the income is coming from. So we have to figure out how we're going to use these policies while we're alive to enhance or expand our operations. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey man, you dropping a ton of jewels, man. So we thank you definitely for that. I know we are definitely, we are well over time and everything.
Oh, okay.
If there's any other questions and anything, please put that in the comments in the audience. Thank you guys all for tuning in to the Future is Black podcast each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we actually have our special guest, Lajuan Abram. Can you let people know? I mean, I know we have something, but how they can reach you, contact you, with regards to soliciting your services and what services you provide. And when we talk about wealth building, and we talk about generational wealth, and we talk about the Black community and the Black and brown community, and holding on to the wealth, you provide a ton of services. And I mean, one of the things that you talked about is one of the vehicles of creating wealth would be trust. But also you talked about different strategies of how you can leverage your business and actually how you build your business credit using your personal assets built into the trust, once again, because it all goes down to this contract within the trust, which is definitely some jewels and stuff that you definitely drop. But just give them a lay of the land of how to reach you and what services you provide.
Yes. Well, I offer all fiduciary and trust administration and trust drafting services for living trust, power of attorneys, wills, asset protection trusts, life insurance trusts, any types of estate documents. And of course, I could be reached at Instagram, all social media outlets, Instagram at AVF Now. Of LinkedIn, Lajuan Abram, that's Lajuan. Abram is Abram. My phone number, direct line, 929. I'm sorry, I just changed my number.
Well, hey, we put the IG and the and the Facebook up there, so
Okay.
you can do that. We'll put that up.
929
We'll need you to give out your personal number. We might have some real thirsty people out there that might be calling you for some other business that need to be answering calls to, brother.
Okay. Well, the information is on the screen. I had a very, very good time with you guys today, man. I hope you invite me back again. Yeah,
we definitely. I mean, we're definitely going to do. Yeah, we're definitely going to do a series of these things because when we talk about Afrofuturism, we talk about generational wealth. This goes hand in hand of all of the stuff that we're doing. I mean, usually we're more on the technology side of it, but we're leveraging a lot of these different vehicles to be able to produce what we need is as far as wealth building, and these wealth building strategies that you dropped on to the audience, man, was definitely needed. And I'm pretty sure once people see this particular episode, they're going to have more and more questions and want to reach out to you. So definitely thank you, brother, for being a part of this and sharing your wealth and knowledge and dropping these jewels on people. Man, we definitely appreciate you. We definitely do. And looking forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Definitely looking forward to seeing you.
Nothing else.
Yeah,
Halsey Street. All right, Dilettante. Halsey Street.
Halsey Street. Yes, Halsey Street, man. You know, which we are looking to build into the new Black Wall Street, the Halsey Street. You know, shout out to Downtown Realty, where we record the podcast out of each and every week.
Yes.
41 Gentlemen Association, PBS Media, who is our sponsor and producer of this particular program. We definitely appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Next week we're going to be same time, same channel. You know, thank you for putting in this work, man. We definitely appreciate.
Oh wait, I'm so sorry. I got to shout my brother out.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just talking to him before I left to come down here. Shout out to Kazan Marset, Damon Marset, and Eddie Marset. I was talking to them before I came, and they're like, "Yo, shout me out, man." I know how that feels. So,
nah, man, we gotta shout out the family. We definitely gotta shout out the family. Gotta show love.
Yes,
we talk about generational wealth and the family building, man. So that's what this is about. That's a family.
One more piece that needs to be added when we talk about generational wealth is location of documentation. And what happens is we have to begin to tell our family members where our documents at.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have something in my company called a red file that I prepare to. Yes.
And that's necessary because a lot of times people work at jobs and different things, and they have policies, and some of these corporations you can't trust because they'll have policies in your name, and they won't tell your family members if something happened to you. So my word of advice for everybody, sit down with your family members, your children, your spouse, whoever you trust, and let them know where all your documents at and your information at.
All your policies.
If anything happened, they can get to it. Let them know where you trust or who to contact, things like that,
and hopefully if you're listening to this episode, you put everything in a trust so everything could be located a lot easier,
they need to know where the trust policy at.
Right. I'm telling you, I have a product specifically for this. It's called a red file. It have social media passwords, it have policies, directions, everything. Every instruction that you get is more detailed than a will. It's all in there to tell people, let people know this is what you do and this is how you do. How I want to be buried. How my remains, what I want to wear, all types of things. That is in the red file. So I'm gonna show you, Dilettante. We're gonna put together. I want to
get the red file.
Yeah, get the red file.
Yes.
Ain't gonna hold y'all any much longer.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
sir. Once again, thank you for tuning in. We definitely appreciate you. We appreciate our guest, Lajuan Abram, for sharing his knowledge and jewels to the family. We definitely appreciate it. And this week, we're gonna be doing a number of these festivals, man. Please get out, make sure you enjoy the sun, build, gather, and look to build your generational wealth, man. And we're going to close out with that. We thank you all for tuning in. This is the Phocused Black podcast each and every Thursday. And with that, we signing off, man. Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Black power.
Here we go.